Hey, hey, hey! Back again with another show. God, this seems like there's been quite a lot of shows in the past couple of weeks. Well, that's because it has. There has been a lot of shows, and we are going to get cracking this evening. I've got a lot of videos to go through. I think we're going to be going through Simon Dan's one as well. I think that's that's going to be an interesting one too to look through with his back and forth with Eric Dubois or Dubé or whatever he's called. And yeah, we've got plenty of things. We've got a Concave Earther coming on. Apparently we've got a Concave Earther ready to join. So hopefully he will join and click very soon. And who else have we got? We just got a lot of things to talk through, and you know what it's like. The panel fills up relatively quickly, so it shouldn't be long before we've got a few people in. And we do actually have, let's see, who have we got in already? We do already have in. We've got Travis and we've got Licky the Wacky Toad. So, how are you both doing? Hello, Travis. You going all silent on me, guys? Come on. This is not how you do it. Well, anyway, we do have some guests in the panel. Let's see whether they can hear me. Can you hear me in the panel? Well, I'm going up and down, so you must be able to. Right. Okay. Let me just ask if can you hear me in show channel? Hello, CC here, King. Okie dokie. So that might be the Concave. We shall see. Right, who do we have in already? Let's see who we've got in already. Let's have a look. See, we've got Brian Shuker, level. Nice to see you in, mate. We've got SE Montreal and Jimbo. Thanks for the chat before, by the way, about the moon and the moon setting. Very interesting indeed, have to say. We have Brandon Toy. Nice to see you, and maybe you can check, see whether or not I'm actually coming through in the show channel for everyone else. We've got Who You, Silent Zero, Page 42, Ryan Q Vincent, and yes, the troll did leave, Jimbo. The troll did leave. So you're welcome, more than welcome to rejoin. Okay, let's see. Travis, can you hit me up and tell me if you can hear me?
I hear you on Discord. I got disconnected somehow.
Ah, right. Okay, no worries. You were telling me before the show started. I had to mute because I'd just gone live. So you were telling me about something you found today.
Yeah. I put it in your DM here on Discord. I just did a search on Google for horizon and refraction, and I hit a YouTube video from 6 years ago in 2014, and a guy was just going through Andrew Thomas Young's stuff on geometric horizons and whatnot. And he wasn't coming out as a flat earther, but he was questioning the globe models. So just as a reference.
Oh, interesting. So when you say he's questioning it, I mean, is that a case of he's looked into it and now he's come back to the globe?
No, he didn't. Well, I only watched one video, so that video was he just basically started talking about the ambiguity of refraction with the horizon, and he was just basically throwing around convex and concave. He didn't mention flat Earth as an option. He just said sometimes it looks like it's concave, but when we think about it as convex, the math never works. And he was going through Andrew Thomas Young stuff and punching in the numbers, and he had this other video. He had this other video referenced in his description. So if you go there, he's got some pretty decent references in the description. But he basically had this observation into Canada from the U.S. I can't remember what location it was, but it was just like the Chicago skyline. It was 50 miles away, and he was saying, in order for us to see this, we'd have to be 300 feet up in the air, or no, I'm sorry, we'd have to be how did he say? Like at least half a mile, I think he said. We'd have to be half a mile up in the air, or those buildings are half a mile high. So he was just questioning the model.
Okay, cool. That's interesting because I mean, to be honest, it is his line of research anyway, isn't it? Optics and things. So, he's got to look into that because we see too far. It's obvious. It's blatantly obvious that we see too far. So, yeah, of course. So that was in 2014. He was looking into it, but he's gone back to this refraction nonsense. Yeah.
Well, again, it's the channel is not Andrew Thomas Young, so he's on his own doing the research. But like I said, he didn't mention flat Earth, and he didn't come down one way or the other. He was just talking through the stuff that he was coming across.
Okay. So I think we have a new panelist this evening. Is it King or KLI? I don't understand. What is it? How have you decided to? What do we call you? Do we call you CC? What would you like?
Sam.
Sorry.
Just call me Sam.
Sam. All right, Sam. How's it going, mate? So, Sam, yeah, I was listening into your live stream before. So, can you shout out your channel name for everybody so that everybody can perhaps go and look you up and maybe listen in the future?
Yeah, sure. Concave Earth Christians.
There you go, everybody. So, Concave Earth Christians, if you're into that side of things and you actually want to look into the concave side of things, as I say, I was listening to his beliefs earlier about how the star trails prove sphericity, etc. Anyway, so I asked him to join, and maybe have a chat with some of the resident globe earthers that come on here, as well as the flat earthers. It's nice to get the whole bunch here together at one time. Concave, flat, and globe.
Seems to me if the world was concave and we wanted to go to Australia from here, we'd take a rocket straight up, because Australia would be above us.
Say that again, Jimbo. Sorry, there's a bit of feedback there.
If the world was concave and I wanted to go to Australia from here, I'd need a rocket, because I just have to go straight up, because Australia is above us, right? We're inside the basketball, if you will.
Well, there's a celestial sphere in the way. You can't go through it. The
So you have to go around it.
The US military bombed it in the 60s, tried to bomb it. There's a barrier at 100 kilometers. There's then a series of different layers, like onion layers, going into heaven, celestial sphere, the firmament. But yeah, everything's inverted. So what you've been told at the other side of the world,
one of those dolls where like marbles inside a baseball, inside a grapefruit, inside a basketball, inside a bigger ball.
A marble inside a basketball. That's a pretty good one, yeah.
So we'd still have to go up to go to Australia. Planes would have to nose up instead of nosing down around a ball.
They do, yeah. They have a constant incline tilt in flight.
Well, they have an angle of attitude against the headwinds, because they have, most planes go in a type of sine wave. They go up a bit, lose some power. They go down a bit, gain some power. They go up a bit.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of an oscillation that way.
That's true. That's sort of the fact is they're not nosing down to curve.
You'd think too at flight schools, instead of teaching taxiing for takeoff and after landing and stuff, and inspections before pre-flight and straight and level flight, which is one of the sections of the manual, they would teach nosing up flight for concave pilots and nosing down flights, nosing down techniques to compensate for the curve for pilots of a globe, right?
You'd think, yeah.
But they teach straight and level flying. It seems to work for both concave and round.
It's because the curvature's so minimal. Because it's only 8 inches per square mile.
It almost sounds like,
give or take, it doesn't matter, really, does it? Like you're talking.
They say for the globe that the curve is.
whichever
curve
way
is
it
so
is.
minuscule that we can't perceive it. We're like ants. So the concave excuse for us not seeing it is it's so minuscule we can't perceive it.
Yeah, the best thing to say is that whichever model it is, we shouldn't go off our eyes. We shouldn't be looking for it anywhere. Looking even on water for the curve. It's about having sort of tangible proof. The only visual observations I take into account is the star trails, the way that they change direction at each side of the.
But again, you can't tell a table's flat by looking at a light above it. So why would looking at star trails tell you the Earth was flat, round, or any other shape?
Because of the movement of the stars with the star trails, there's the constellations, the formations.
Doesn't determine your surface you're viewing from and its shape in any way, shape, or form.
It does. It does because of the movement. If there was no movement, then I'd agree. But in fact, no, really. If we're true to ourselves, the only way to map the Earth is with the spherical model where there's a pole and an equator.
Well, as far as I know, navigation has always been done on the oceans, considering a 600 square mile flat area and using stars over 15 degrees above the horizon and a sextant to determine your position with 2 readings. Usually the readings are done a little afternoon or in the evening.
There's no flat model.
I don't know. Some simple
There's
trigonometry
no model
got
that
people round and round into islands and map making without ball math or
the
they
AE map,
did a basic grid and they went from A to B and they mapped it.
The AE map is just debunkable and ridiculous, and then you're basically left with the alternative of swapping it around and putting the south at the centre. It's equally as ridiculous.
Well, first of all, any map you ever reference is flat. Street guides and city maps or anything are flat.
Of any map, picking the centre wherever you want to put it, and thinking to yourself that is a magical edge, and that the sun's teleporting off one side and coming back to the other. It's just ridiculous. I'm Samuel Owen. I fell for the flat Earth trap. There's such a thing as the plumb bob experiment that's being conducted. It's a simple experiment.
It's not an experiment. Well,
what do you mean it's not an experiment?
An experiment needs an observed phenomena and a test of it with a conditional and a fixed variable.
It's been done twice. There's a lack of.
What's been done?
Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Listen. One second, guys. One second. Hold on.
People wanting to reconduct the experiments.
Right, hold on, guys. 1 second. Just so the audience gets to hear a bit more about your two debate, it'd be better if you sort of like just let for the other one to finish. Would that be all right?
I can't listen to lies and nonsense. I have to interrupt. So the guy's going to have to speak sense and truth.
Okay, well, if that's how you want to
take your time, but
if that's how you want to do it.
In fact, you're voting for flat Earth, so I'm here to say
can I ask?
It's a big organised trap.
Can I ask you to describe your plumb bob experiment?
Conducted twice on a globe model. There should be convergence. There isn't. If the Earth was flat, you'd expect them to run parallel. They don't. They diverge. There's no flat working map. Star trails destroy flat Earth. God's in the centre of concave Earth.
You can show me two plumb bobs diverging?
Don't love God can hide from that as long as you want. That Jesus said, "Father is the innermost." Now, I've given my message. Repent, y'all. Get born again. Accept Jesus said, Father's in the centre and it ain't Allah. And once you get to concave, there's no black sun or no Luciferian nonsense. You're going to be Christian concavers in Kingdom of God. Nice to meet you. I'm your boss.
Thank you, boss. Can you give me the pendulum experiment?
Lord Jesus said to you as your options otherwise, yeah?
Can you describe your pendulum experiment that's so successful?
I've given you your head.
Okay, so there's a good question. There's a good question.
Flat Earth destroyed.
There's a
globe is
good.
just concave inverted.
Okay, there's a good question. Could you explain your?
I'm done with you clowns.
Could you explain your
absolute
plumb
clowns
bod?
on your Discord crap.
Could you explain your plumb bod?
You're under certain people, yeah, forever, or you're out.
Well,
I've come to give you a message now. Quit your jobs, go concave, and help CC, or expect some punishment. You disgusting trolls. You disgusting trolls. Yeah, there's the I'm trying to educate and wake up, and there's you critters.
Well, how are you trying to educate? We were asking for your proof here. We're asking for your proof. We're asking for your proof.
I'd get given a testimony, ranty cook.
Where's your proof? Where's your proof?
All over Concave Earth Christians.
Where's
channel.
your proof?
Checking at anyone genuine listening that cares.
Where's your proof?
All over my channel.
So we're asking for it then. Tell us about this. Tell us about this plumb bob proof that you have. No, tell us about it. Tell us how it works.
That's a simple experiment.
Well, tell us it. Tell us it. What's your independent variable? What's the observed phenomena first?
Listen. You hang two strings. You measure how far apart they are at the top. You measure how far apart they are at the bottom. If we were on a globe, they'd converge. It's being hidden because they diverge. Goodbye, critters. Get born again, or you're out of here.
I've always seen two plumb bobs parallel, like water levels. You can put two plumb bobs over the ends of two water levels. They'll be parallel to each other.
I've just
a mile away.
I get a bit dramatic for my videos. You clowns, yeah? You clowns, right? Bow to Jesus, whether you know it's concave yet or not. Come out and say it. Be CC warriors, or enjoy your fate, your afterlife. Yeah. Bye then.
Where the hell did you
get you. I love you enough
I love you too, but I'll take my chances.
Yeah, you're offering plenty of proof.
I mean, later if you do repent, if you get on board, you can thank me later or not.
My videos normally get a couple of thousand views. By the time the week's out, there'll be a couple of thousand views on them. So you've got plenty of opportunity to speak to a couple of thousand people here and convince them of your proof. So if you're just going to come in and rant and rave, then they're not really going to be blown over by your evidence. So you've got an opportunity here to perhaps convince us.
I think he left. I think he dropped out.
Oh, did he? Ah, balls.
Yep, you're talking to the air.
Was that it? I mean, come on. I mean, really? He has a great opportunity here to come in and, partake in this. Well,
he really had more a message than any science.
Yeah, he didn't last long, did he? Well, he just wanted to come in and call us clowns and idiots. So it was quite funny, actually.
And his answer to two plumb bobs actually diverging from each other, or I beg your pardon? Show me.
It's like it made no sense. I mean, I wanted him to come in and do a presentation, but that's my first encounter with a globe earther, except for Jason McCormack in the chat. But wow, is that what they're all like? Are they all that insane?
Well, like I say, I if I wanted to go to Australia and visit, the roos out there, I'd have to take a rocket and go straight up. Because Australia, in his mind, is somewhere above me. But there is an obstacle, a marble of sorts, or a celestial something that I'd have to go around, of course, with my rocket ship before I got to Australia. Okay. It's like the inverse of the center of the Earth. Like I say, the same thing. We're so small and insignificant. We're like ants on a beach ball. We can't see the curve. Well, same with the concave. He's saying, oh, we're so small and insignificant and it's so imperceivable, we don't notice that it's concave. We don't notice that it's a ball. Well, excuse me? And then to look up to determine, you're standing on a table, you look up, you see lights. You're going to say, oh, I'm actually sitting on a ball? What?
Oh,
makes no sense.
Yeah.
There's no logic. It's like a glober, but with just different philosophy, I guess.
Well, here we go, right? So I was looking around earlier on anyway, and I managed to get this video. I've just started showing it in the channel show. So I'm going to play it in a moment so that everyone can have a listen into this. It's only 3 minutes long, and it's titled, Who Killed the Concave Earth? Can self-proclaimed leader of all Christians, Sam Owen, resurrect it? So I don't know if that's the same Sam that came in, because it might be. Who knows? He called himself Sam, and he was pretty, yeah. Well, let's listen to what this woman's got to say anyway. It's a 3-minute video. It was put out today, so it's fresh off the press. Let's have a listen to what she's got to say. Here we go.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. Thanks to those of you who have stuck with me through my mishmash of content. You never know what you're going to get here, do ya? Today's subject is going to be concave Earth, a frequent topic of the Veronica May channel. I just wanted to, well, I already knew that the concave Earth model was dead, obviously, but I just wanted to say to Rico Gray that for once we actually agree. I saw a comment by Rico G, and he said that the concave Earth model was killed by the CER people inside. I do disagree as far as who killed it. I guess in the aspect that, oh, I sound like Justin Ray saying that. In regard to the people who did put forth or disseminate the concave Earth information, none of them could really truly explain the model the way Stephen did, because it was pseudoscience, so they really couldn't explain it properly. Sam, for example, has no clue about the mechanics of the concave Earth. All he can do is cite a couple of experiments and say, this is why it's true. And you're welcome, Sam. I called it out 2 years ago, didn't I? I said that you wanted to be the leader, and I knew that you were going to be calling yourself the Messiah because you're just like Stephen. You know, except that he's good at computer graphics, and he actually did do some research to figure out how he could come up with some pseudoscience to woo people into believing that the Earth is concave and that he's God, because he had that knowledge. So you're just, anyway, you're welcome, Sam. I called it because you're so predictable. The concave Earth model wasn't killed. It never truly lived. I guess as far as like a baby in the womb is alive, it was alive in the brain of Stephen, and he put forth that model, and he did have people believing that he was going to have a baby. And when he had the baby, though, it was dead. Well, it was stillborn. That sounds gross, I know. 13 years on YouTube, and the most views he had on a video was like 100,000. So you could just say that that model never really was alive. So you people perpetuating the concave Earth theory, you're like mothers who have given birth to a dead baby, and you're just clinging to the baby in disbelief. Well, it's time to bury the baby. That's what I have to say to you right now.
It's time to bury the baby. Deary me, deary me. Well, I think that might have been the same Sam, you know. I think it might have been the same guy that just came in.
It's a small world. I think it's possible. There's a likelihood, 50-50.
Well, yeah, he's Sam. He claimed himself as a leader, didn't he? Didn't he say that he was going to be the leader or something? Or that you would bow down to him or something?
It sounded like he would be arbitrating the judgment and the punishment for us if we didn't repent and, kind of follow and whatever. Seemed to me, but what do I know?
Well, so poor Sam, he just got destroyed by his own side.
Roasted as bad. Well, she's smart, the lady. The people think women are just dumb and dizzy. It's not the case. This lady, she knows something. She knows what a con artist is, and she called out what's his name there.
Lord Stephen Christ.
Yeah. Well, someone's Lord, maybe not mine, but that Stephen guy, the wacko who threatened to kill presidents and went to jail for it, and can still travel abroad. Give me a break. Something's wrong with all of this shit.
Well, anyway, so I've just subscribed to her anyway. Predominantly because she's quite hot. I I mean, yeah, she wasn't bad on the eyes either, was she? So give her a shout out.
Yeah, that too. She is good looking.
Veronica Magee. I'll copy the link anyway to the video and post it in the chat right now, so that everyone can perhaps go and leave a comment, see what they've got to say about that, and see whether or not actually it was the same fella that popped in here, the same Sam. I suspect it probably was. Anyway, let's move on. We've got a couple more videos to play. I want to talk about Airy's failure at some point. I do want to get around to discussing that. There's this other video that's been put out. Let me share this with you guys. Tell you what you think. Because when I actually saw this, I'm not going to spoil this. I'm not going to spoil it. But when I actually saw this, I was like, okay, because it says super drone kills the flat earthers. So I'm looking for some kind of proof here with this super drone. So, are you ready to watch the super drone that kills flat earthers? Here we go. Let's have a look. See. There's no volume, by the way. he's just going up in his drone, and he's looking towards the horizon. And yep. We're gonna see a reappearing sun. So there we go. This super drone apparently kills the flat earthers, right?
This is what Phil says is his #1 proof.
What, the up and down drone?
Yep, Professor Phil. I don't see how, but okay.
But
You know, if I had a ruler and a fine pen, I couldn't draw a line as straight as that horizon is in that video.
Yes. Do you know what the best part is about? The best part's just about to reveal itself. The best part's just about to reveal itself. So he's coming down, he's coming down, he's coming down. And here we go. Go on. The suspense is killing me. I watched it earlier on. I'm not sure exactly how long it is to go, but it is pretty soon. The suspense gets there. We do get to see this point that basically destroys his whole argument.
What the hell? It's not even real?
No, it's CGI.
Oh this is the flat Earth killer. Oh, that's perfect, man. That's perfect.
It actually looked like the sun was moving back and away, and the glare was being pulled down, just like in other sunsets.
Yeah, it was a pretty convincing video. You know, I mean, even the sunset looked real.
You know, near the end part, though, you could tell that there was a slight arcing, but that's from the lens of the camera only. So, you know, I don't know. As you get to the edges of the camera, they're less precise. These are small lenses on these drones. They can't carry a lot of weight normally, so everything is, you know, as miniature as practical. So you're not talking any full-size lens there.
No, but you know,
makes things worse.
What's also really interesting in this particular video is this shot right now, and it's literally what I've been saying about the sunsets. We have the real sun. I mean, I could maybe take a screenshot of it actually and blow it up so that you guys can see it in a bigger picture. I've just taken a screenshot, so I will do that. But basically what you've got is you've got the brightest part of the sun's at the top, and it looks like it's the actual sun, and it's more of the actual sun, and then you've got the glare of the sun underneath it. It's like the program that he's done to use this has modeled reality without him even knowing. It's actually created the glare that you see setting rather than the sun setting. Can you see that?
You know, it's probably not a fair critique because I see too much CGI and real stuff, but his ocean does look like it was made with the wave modifier in Blender.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look natural. But in any case, I like where on the one side you see all those remote islands there. It's still pretty flat, and those are probably over 100 miles away, you know. In any case, it's funny.
Let me copy this over here, and because I am pretty sure that the Blender model or whatever it is actually reproduced what I've been saying. So let me just resize that so that you can all see it. So do it by 1,000. You can't really tell. Hang on, let me share my screen anyway. But yeah, you can't really tell. Let me just do the brightness and contrast, just to try and.
You know, Blender as a 3D software, its main goal in industry and everywhere is as photorealistic 3D rendering of everything in the real world for cinema. So it has to be able to reproduce electronically from pixels and just you know, images and whatever people create, real world looking things. It doesn't matter if it's the ocean, mountains, plains. It has to fool people, and that's part of the art of it, into thinking it's real. It's intended to fool people.
Well, you know, I've been managed to able to catch a little bit. So you know, you've got the brightest part of the sun's at the top, you know, and you don't see the full sun. You know, if if this really was the full sun that you were seeing, you know, you would see a spherical sun. But what even Blender's caught this, you know, I mean, because that would be the sun, right? But we're only seeing this sort of shape up here. You know, the top part of it peeking over, and actually all of this part that's actually in the video, well, in the thing, is just glare. You know, that's the glare part there, and that's the brightest part where the real sun is. So it's actually like it has modelled it from real. You know, that you've got the sun behind the glare. But yeah, maybe that's, you know, that was my eyes picking that out. So, you know, but definitely reality, I believe. Got more videos to show. I was looking around, scooting around. Let's see what else. Which other one? We'll get to Airy's failure after this one. How's that? Because who's on the panel that wants to talk about Airy's failure anyway? I know you do, Jimbo. Right, here we go.
Here we go with a simple experiment.
Sorry?
It's a good subject in a sense.
So this is titled Flat Earth Proof Not. Okay, and obviously we've got some dude here. I don't know what his name is. We'll just call him Glasses Man here. So Glasses Man here is going to, you know, hopefully not provide flat Earth proof. Well, let's see what he presents for his wonderful flat Earth not proof. Here we go.
Okay, here we go with a simple experiment, because I believe in a flat Earth. See, I can actually see up there is the moon, and it's a full moon, and over there somewhere is the sun, and they're both on the same time seen. Oh, hang on a minute, no, that's just the glare of the sunlight. The sun hasn't actually gone above the horizon yet. Oh dear, maybe my theory's not right, because if you also look at the moon over there, if I zoom in, and this is all done on a phone, it's not quite a full moon. Yes, I can just see a bit of a fuzzy bit round it. I wonder if that means that the Earth isn't actually flat, and that's just a very simple experiment. Ooh, strange that.
He's like, is that the best they've got? Is that the best they've got? But Jimbo,
What did he mean? I don't understand what his point was.
well, nor do I really, to be honest. It was just like a trolling video that didn't really do what it said on the tin. Because we all know that at times you see the sun in the sky with the moon in the sky. We also know that other times you just see the moon in the sky without the sun. It's you know, his
Yeah.
bollocks video meant it was basically just another, I don't know, just more content against flat Earth, ridiculing them. And this guy, you know, obviously he's just a prick. That's all I got to say about that. so here he is, Mr. Prick, just trying to troll the flat earthers here. But Jimbo said to me before the show started about something that's local to him that I actually want to discuss about the moon. And I thought this was a good segue into that, because he says that you know, in a couple of weeks' time, he has a phenomena that happens local to him that is pretty much unexplainable on a globe Earth. Do you want to tell us about that, Jimbo?
Well, basically, in a few weeks, the full moon should appear down a stretch of road to the northeast of me, and when it's full and above the horizon, when I'm looking at it from here on the 45th parallel, or the 45th latitude, and look at it on that day, date and time says it's over Chad and Nigeria, Central Africa, moving west. So it's halfway around the world, but I can see it over the horizon. Don't make sense. But I'm going to check time and date in the next day or so, and check the date of the next full moon this month, and check its alignment and the moon rise. And
wasn't that the same?
It'll be.
Wasn't that the same this month, just a couple days ago?
I don't know. I haven't really been watching much. I actually got hit by a car a few weeks ago, Saturday, and I've been kind of convalescing since. So,
were you a pedestrian, or were you in a car?
No, I was on a bicycle on the bicycle path, and a guy cut me off to turn into a Tim Horton donut.
Jesus.
So, yeah, and he literally had to try hard to run me over too. So
he
was in a beat up car.
Was he insured?
Oh yeah, but his whole right side was smashed up. He was running on a hard rubber spare tire and stuff. Just a junker, you know.
Right. Well, yeah. You'll get some compo for that, surely.
Not guaranteed anything. Yeah. Hell no. Hell
I wouldn't see why.
You know how law is. You know, the fact is, they could find a way to say that I was responsible for whatever the accident, my own injuries. Whether they know or not, I was going too fast or not doesn't matter. You know, they play the babble game. Some insurance is paid for material damages, usually if there's any, like car doors and side mirrors, whatever needs repair, and then the rest is a dog's breakfast.
Well, here in the UK, it's pretty just open and closed. You know, I mean, if you get knocked over on a bike, you know, it's 90% of the time, you know, if they're in fault, you know, you'll win the claim.
Well, I got rear-ended. I stopped waiting to turn left to go into an Ollie's in South Carolina. Got rear-ended at 55 miles an hour by some kids. And they were supposed to be at a football game in another town, and they were joyriding and doing whatever, 60, 70 miles away. But 5 years of court, and I wound up mostly with the ambulance and medical expenses paid, which was over $100,000, but no personal damages.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? You need to get a good lawyer. Get a good lawyer.
Well, I had one of the best. Made case law several times in the state and stuff. Good attorney. But the thing is, here's one thing. Here's how they break the law and get away with it on the system side. There are laws that permit video evidence because children get nervous in court and everything, so they have rooms where children can witness in family matters and other stuff. But that's for family court. The state laws are very clear about introducing video evidence, but that's for family court. But they allow it to go into civil cases, which is not approved by the legislature in the state, which makes it illegal. So even though that court battle was years ago, it's in sub recurso in that state because it's run unfairly, the insurance program there. It's all been hijacked by, computer programs that'll lowball and exactly how to delay to make people freaking give up on their quest for some. compensation for their injuries and pain and suffering or whatever. The deck is weighted against you. It's like if your car is stolen, you know who the prime suspect is?
You?
You are. The first person that, and they won't pay out until they've excluded you, is you. You stole your own car.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Ridiculous.
Absolutely. Here, it's a default approach in the insurance business here. If your car gets stolen, even if it's insured, you're considered the thief until proven otherwise.
Right, let me do a couple of shout outs to, we've got Silent Zero who says, so he's going back to the Concave that came in. Ha ha ha, is he the Pete of the Concave? I'm assuming that is he the Pete Shea of the Concave? It wouldn't surprise me, man. He was he was a bit of a rumpus, wasn't he? And we've also got Godzilla, who's back super chatting, which is awesome. You best believe in concave Earth, or hell awaits your soul. That's the best proof provided, apparently. I'd have to agree with that. So, guys, are you converted to concave now with hell awaiting your soul if you don't convert?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I ain't throwing out my Slayer albums.
Oh, right, okay, so 2 weeks' time, there's this sunset, sorry, there's the moon rise, is it? Is it the moonrise that you were talking about, or is it the moonset?
Yep.
Right, so the moonrise, 2 weeks' time, and we're talking Ottawa in Canada. Now, from your location in Ottawa in Canada, it's your claim that in 2 weeks' time, when the moon rises at full moon...
I want to confirm that. Go to date and time, just make sure. And this thing happens regular, and the same type of phenomena is there for other people and other street corners, and once a year for them too. The moon will be somewhere halfway around the world for you, and you'll see it on your horizon. Because it has to be that way. If it's that way for me, it's that way for everyone on the East Coast, etc.
Let's try and organise something for 2 weeks' time. Then let's do a moonrise thing somehow, sort of like a worldwide moonrise observation.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I think that would be good, and we can track it. So we can do a moon tracking in 2 weeks' time if everyone's up for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll get that sorted. We'll get something organised, and I'll make sure that I get a few community posts out and see if we can get a couple of dozen people interested, and taking these pictures, and then we'll just be able to follow that moon and see if we can see what's going on with it. Why not?
Well, I'll do all 12 months and check when the moon is over North Africa, Central Africa, etc., moving towards the west. It's only 12 months to check. So there you go.
You know who's big into that subject? What's his name? The guy that says, "You piece of shit." You know who I'm talking about?
No. Who's that?
Yeah, you do know him. He always says, "These pieces of shit, you piece of shit." He's got like a Russian accent or maybe Eastern European
Is that
accent.
Brenda? Is that Brenda that says that? You pieces of shit.
No, I can't. You pieces of shit. I can't remember his name, but he says that like 10 times every video.
Yeah, it's Brenda.
Brenda?
Brenda. Bonassen.
No, that's not. No.
That's what she says, or he says when he comes in.
Oh, yeah. But I wouldn't listen to her videos. I'll have to figure out who that is.
Okay. Right, listen, I've got an Airy's failure video. It's probably one that you've already seen before, so it's an old one. But I want to go over it. I want to sort of like reinvest in this because, it's been a while since we've done anything like this or discussed anything like this.
QNP.
Say again, Rob.
QNP.
QNP?
P. F-E-E.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's who it is. QNFE. Yeah, that guy. He's huge into that date and time and tracking the sun and the star and double checking them. Oh.
Cool. Well, maybe get in touch with it. Is he a flat earther? I think he is, isn't he?
Well, I don't know if you want to go that far, but might be worth checking some of his videos out. I don't know. I've never double checked anything he's put out, but he's always talking about it.
Okay. Right, well, here we go, guys. Watch the video in the show channel, and we'll have a little chat about this. Crow's joined, which is good, because, you know, this is his level. You know, he's got all these things with the stars and the sun and everything, so I'll be interested on his take in this. So, let's play the video anyway. Here we go.
If a telescope is pointing at a star, and both are stationary, then obviously the light comes straight into the telescope. In 1729, Bradley found that he had to tip his telescope forward very slightly to get a star in the center of his telescope. It was assumed that this was due to the motion of the Earth around the Sun. Let us assume that the telescope was moving at 5 miles an hour and had to be tipped 5 degrees. This 5-degree tipping, however, could equally be caused by the ether moving at 5 miles an hour, carrying the stars around the Earth. As we see here, the light would be coming in at the same angle, and the telescope would still have to be tipped 5 degrees. So tipping the telescope does not tell us whether it is the starlight moving or the telescope moving. However, there is a simple experiment that can determine whether it was the Earth that was moving or the ether and starlight. All that you had to do was record the tipping required for any particular star, then fill the telescope with water, which greatly slows down the speed of light in the telescope. So here is the moving telescope filled with water, tipped at 5 degrees, and you can see that the starlight does not now reach the eyepiece at the bottom. This is because the starlight moves much more slowly when passing through water. However, if the telescope is tipped further, say 10 degrees, then the starlight will then be visible again in the eyepiece. It has to be tipped further because the light is now slower when in the telescope. But if the starlight is going past the telescope at 5 miles an hour, then when it is filled with water, no further tipping is needed because the light is coming in at 5 degrees anyway. The starlight stays on the same path but is only travelling slower in the water. To recap, if it is the telescope that is moving, then when it is filled with water, it has to be tipped further to see the star. If the telescope is stationary and the starlight drifting past us, then it does not have to be tipped further. In 1871, George Biddle Airy, the Astronomer Royal, performed this experiment. This is a copy from his original report. You can see that the two readings are virtually identical. If it had been the telescope that was moving, Airy expected a figure of 30 seconds of arc. In fact, he only managed to read 0.8 seconds of arc difference. Bradley first discovered stellar aberration, and it is interesting that in his report, Airy mentions that it was now about 100 seconds of arc, and that it was still slowly diminishing. This indicates that the speed of light was still decreasing in measurable amounts when Airy performed his experiment in 1871. The result of Airy's experiment, known as Airy's failure, was that the telescope does not have to be tipped further. This proved that it was the incoming light that was moving past a stationary telescope fixed to the stationary Earth. What is interesting in his very brief report of only 4 pages is that not once did he refer to the astonishing results that the experiment proved, that the Earth was stationary. This experiment was also dismissed by Wikipedia, which said, "Ether drag test," under the main article, "Luminiferous Ether." By means of a water-filled telescope, Airy in 1871 looked for a change in stellar aberration through the refracting water due to an ether drag. Like in all other ether drift experiments, he obtained a negative result. This is a gross distortion of the truth. That he did not have to change the angle proved that it was the ether drifting past the stationary surface of the Earth.
Well. Let's see who have we got in. Crow. Well,
That's why we
indeed.
got geocentric.
Yeah, hello.
Crow, help us out here, mate. We have this guy back in the 1870s who performed a test. It would appear that it proved that the ether was moving rather than the Earth. What do you think to that?
Well, the first thing in the video, they mention a tilt angle for the telescope. And the way to calculate that tilt angle is know which season you are and what star, because you need to function the speed of the Earth in its orbit in order to conclude that angle. And that's something I've been through and I graphed it.
Do you think that's something he calculated in his test?
The Astronomer Royal.
All documented.
Yes.
Yeah, so in 1871,
Yes.
we've got an Astronomer Royal who performed the test. You'd think, being an Astronomer Royal, that he would know this, be able to calculate things like that. They're quite clever people, these Astronomer Royals,
Yes, because in the 1727, something like that, there was James Bradley. That's the one who discovered the aberration of stars, and whatever the tilt angle, it changes from day to day or from week to week. It changes slightly according to the position of the Earth in its orbit.
Or according to the position of the stars as they circle above us.
Well, I have no response to that. I mean,
it's one of the two, right? That's what we're talking about.
No, I mean, I explained what happened. The aberration of light is like when it's raining, the rain is vertical, but when you move, you get an angle of the rain. So I explained it. Now, would you explain more? What's the motion of the star?
I'm just pointing out that you're saying that it's due to the orbits. And an alternative explanation would be it's due to the movement of the stars, not the movement of Earth.
Oh, okay. But the movement of the stars in relation to the Earth is on daily basis, not on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
So he has to measure the angle of the elevation of the star. He waits until the star is overhead, or not in overhead, it's just in the middle of the sky. And then he measured the elevation angle during zenith. So he has to measure at specific time every day. So in that sense, it doesn't matter what's the position of the stars because it changes. That speed or that tilt angle changes.
Okay.
So you think? So wait a minute. See, let me get this right. So. Did the other astronomers at the time tell him that he had miscalculated?
No, I didn't say he miscalculated. I say that the tilt angle that he started his test with is based on the stellar aberration.
which is
I
just
think
the
I
slight
think
difference at zenith of the positions of the stars from day to day.
yes, at maximum it's 20 arc seconds or arc minutes. I'm not sure.
It's funny the
That's
words he
max.
used when he said the telescope was stationary, meaning the ground it's on also would have to be stationary.
Well, the one who said that is the video producer, not George Bridley Airy.
Okay, so when we're talking about a difference of between, obviously you've got.
Just wait, Randy. Yeah, but was George Airy looking to prove the shape of the Earth, or was he just doing astronomical observation?
I think he was. I think I'm not sure. He was inspecting the ether, if it's there or not.
He was trying to determine if it was the Earth that was moving.
I'm not sure. I think at that time he knew that the Earth was moving because the tilt angle that he has to come up with is based on the Earth orbit.
So you've just answered your
He
question.
has two tilt angles. One at 5 degrees when it's not moving and, quote, stationary. The second tilt angle is 10 degrees, 5 degrees more inclined when it is in motion, tracking the star. So
No,
there's
I
not
see.
one angle. There are two referred to here. One 5 degree stationary and one 10 degree in motion.
Well, here's the thing. So both in motion, you just needed the 5 degree tilt. So
no, the 10 degrees was when it was filled with water.
Yeah, so both
Slow the light down.
Both tilted at 5 degrees. It wouldn't have mattered whether it was the Earth moving or whether it was the sky moving. They would still need to just be tilted at 5 degrees. The reason that you're able to distinguish which one is moving is by filling the telescope with water, and when you do that, that slows the light, the speed of the light as it enters into the telescope, and you're able to receive the light from through that medium, through the water in the telescope at 10 degrees if the sky was moving, and sorry, if the Earth was moving, if the Earth was moving, and if the sky was moving, then you wouldn't receive anything at all. And what do you know? He had to tilt it to 10 degrees to actually capture the light from the stars, and that proved that it was the sky that was moving and not the Earth.
No, the opposite. He said that when he put the water, it didn't make any difference, though it should have if the Earth was moving. That was the hypothesis.
You realize he proved that the Earth didn't move?
No, I think there's a huge concept error in his experiment.
there's no. Go ahead. Go on. Tell us the error.
Yeah, I mean, everyone comes here and say Einstein's wrong, Newton's wrong. So I say George Bridley,
We're not just coming
also wrong.
We're not just coming in here saying Einstein's wrong and Newton's wrong. We're coming in here and showing you what he said.
Yeah, and I say he was wrong to make that hypothesis. Yeah.
Would you replay the video and take up to the part where they're talking about the telescope?
Now that's just willful ignorance there. Total
Yeah, I think it was
willfulness
short
to
and
just
condensed,
look away.
so maybe some people missed a portion of it.
So we're allowed to say that Einstein and Newton are wrong, and you're allowed to say that this guy was wrong. That's just the way it is.
I'm happy to replay the video. The video.
I think some people are getting a little bit mixed up with some parts, so if you replay the video from the telescope bit onwards, then that'd be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Let's pop it back here and put it on again so that everyone can re-listen to this. Here we go. That's up there.
A particular star, then fill the telescope with water, which greatly slows down the speed of light in the telescope. So here is the moving telescope filled with water, tipped at 5 degrees, and you can see that the starlight does not now reach the eyepiece at the bottom. This is because the starlight moves much more slowly when passing through water. However, if the telescope is tipped further, say 10 degrees, then the starlight will then be visible again in the eyepiece. It has to be tipped further because the light is now slower when in the telescope. But if the starlight is going past the telescope at 5 miles an hour, then when it is filled with water, no further tipping is needed because the light is coming in at 5 degrees anyway. The starlight stays on the same path but is only travelling slower in the water. To recap, if it is the telescope that is moving, then when it is filled with water, it has to be tipped further to see the star. If the telescope is stationary and the starlight drifting past us, then it does not have to be tipped further. In 1871, George Biddle Airy, the Astronomer Royal, performed this experiment. This is a copy from his original report. You can see that the two readings are virtually identical. If it had been the telescope that was moving, Airy expected a figure of 30 seconds of arc. In fact, he only managed to read 0.8 seconds of arc difference.
There we go. Crow, pretty definitive, yeah?
Yes, I understand, and I've seen that video before, but what was George Biddley trying to do? We are basing our understanding on this video.
Well, it doesn't matter what he was trying to do, it matters what the result was.
Because the video implies that he was clueless and he was trying to see if the Earth is moving or not. But
all right, we should delve more into George Airy then and who he was, right?
Yeah.
So let's get this right. So do you agree with his experiment that basically if you put water in the telescope, you should be able to redetect the light on a moving, if the Earth is moving by tilting it to 10 degrees, whereas if it's the starlights that are moving, then you wouldn't need to change that at all?
Yeah, well, my opinion, and maybe some other globers or astronomers disagree with me, it doesn't matter, because all what matters is the angle of the light in relation to the telescope. It's coming perpendicular or parallel to its axis, as if everything is stationary. The light, the Earth, the whatever, even the ether, the angle is coming to parallel to its axis, and it's going to continue parallel to its axis.
So you think in either model you shouldn't detect any change? Is that your assumption?
Yeah. The reason I say astronomer or some other engineers or scientists will disagree with me is because they give another explanation. Einstein, time dilation or length contraction. I don't like that. I don't buy it. To me, it's very simple. The light is coming in a different angle. It will continue in that angle.
Well, if you're denying the science, Crow, what do you want me to say?
Yeah, sometimes I deny the science.
Well,
I do kind of have a problem with the experiment because there's so many assumptions baked in about how the light's going to hit the telescope, at what angle it's coming, and what the refractive properties of the water are going to have on the light. There are a lot of assumptions built into this experiment. So it makes sense if those assumptions are correct, but I guess I don't know enough about it to say one way or the other personally.
Yeah, I was just saying, Gleam would be good, worth bringing in to talk about this. But also, I sent him a couple of videos on Discord. I don't know if he's had a chance to look. One of them about some places here on the plane that appear to defy gravity. Have you come across them, Crow?
Yeah, I've seen things like that. Yeah.
What do you think about it? You know, you could take your handbrake off your car at the bottom of a hill and watch the car roll up the hill. How does that work on the globe model?
Yeah, just optical illusion.
Huh? No, there's a hill. You know what a hill is? You're at the bottom
Yeah.
of a hill. You're at the bottom of a hill, which means that there's a slope going upwards, and the car goes up the hill.
Well, that hill is like the bottom of a bigger hill. Not, like there's a slope, and within that slope, there's, a convex.
No, it's not going down the hill, the slopey part. It's going up the hill, Crow.
We would need to see this. We can't just picture. You can't picture it in his mind.
Yeah. The point is, if you have, auto level or through the light, I think no auto level, or a plumb up, you would definitely determine if this land is uphill or downhill.
Okay, let's see if I can find the part on the video. Let's see. So that was that. That's that. Hang on, I'm just looking through the video now to get it. So what's this place called? The road at the foot of the Mount Aragats, Armenia. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, let's share the screen then, so you guys can have a look. The video is called "Here's Why Gravity Doesn't Work Here," and this part is called, after 4 minutes 23, "The Road at the Foot of the Mount Aragats in Armenia." Here we go.
Aragats, Armenia. Situated between the border of Armenia and Turkey is a mountain that has been dazzling locals for thousands of years. This is not your ordinary mountain. Indeed, millions of tourists from halfway across the world flock to this spot to witness this mind-blowing anti-gravity phenomenon. It makes you question reality itself. All you have to do is turn off the engine of your car once you arrive at the foot of the mountain, and your car will gradually start climbing the hill. You won't believe it. There's even a river located in close proximity to the hill that follows this upward trajectory too.
Dude, look at it.
Anything to say about that then?
Yeah, well, as I said, it's just optical illusion. You think that it's uphill, but it's not uphill.
He's just told you. 500,000 people flock to this location every year to experience it.
Does he say why it happens later on in the video?
No, he just says it's a phenomena that's unexplainable.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, these videos just like they like to do things like that.
Shall I have a look? What's it called?
There is a few more videos on YouTube about it. There's one in the US, I forgot what the word is called, where it goes over the train tracks and goes up the hill over the train tracks. It's the same thing, and they explain how it happens on there. Whether that's the same issue with that, I don't know, but there's one in the US. If anybody in the US understands what I'm talking about, then they can verify what it is.
Road.
I experienced that sometimes on the ring road around Cairo. The road seems to be going.
If 1 million people visit it, it doesn't make it a reality. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so can you see what I'm sharing now, guys? Or do I need to, I'm going to reshare my screen.
The image is blurred, so I'm watching on YouTube, but YouTube is delaying.
So I've just typed it in, off the beaten path, the secrets of Mount Aragats in Armenia. So I've just popped this search into here anyway, and it's come up. The first one says, scientists are struggling to solve the secrets of the mountain road. This part, the water here flows not from the top to the bottom, but from the bottom to the top. Crow.
Well, now why
Yeah,
would scientists be struggling to solve it if it's just an optical illusion? It should be pretty easy for them to identify. That's kind of interesting.
yeah. I mean, that's a definitive case of, no one knows. But I've seen many cases it has explanation. Maybe this one.
Okay, so what would your explanation be for this then? I mean, what is it that could be explaining why cars and water and rivers defy gravity?
Well, this is where the term interesting comes in, when this doesn't match any model. Because it doesn't debunk the globe, it doesn't debunk the flat Earth. It's just interesting. This is something weird. But if I like to push the limits and be a hard-headed glober, I would say the mountain. The mountain maybe could be of some heavy material, and the gravity is pulling things up.
You're not going to say refraction then?
Yeah, well, of course, refraction can help.
In Carlton, we have a magnetic hill too on Mount Carlton, formerly known as Mount St. Joseph, and it is purely an optical illusion. It is purely a visual effect. In New Brunswick, they have one too. They have a lot of blind hills and other stuff there, dangerous roads, but they have a so-called magnetic hill there too. And that's 2 of 2 in Quebec and New Brunswick that are optical illusions only. So I can't really see a lot of them being more than trees growing sideways or other stuff deformed because of settling of land or I don't know what, but optical illusions, there are many. Our eyes, even if 1 million people see it, that's why they call them illusions. We think we see something that's really not what we're seeing.
Yeah, I have been to one of those. They used to have these places called mystery spots. There was one in Wisconsin, and the house was kind of built on an angle, and all the trees were grown in a certain way, and it really fucked with your head. Like balls would roll uphill, and when you'd hang from the ceiling, you'd hang at an arc, and you really couldn't tell with your senses which way was down because all the visual cues were set up in a way that made you think a direction was down that wasn't. So I do know what you're talking about, but it's interesting that article said scientists are puzzled of it.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
Well, it's in their interest to make like, oh, some things are beyond us and play that damn game. But we know so little and so much about gravity, and this is one of those mysteries.
Yeah, that might be
your
clickbait.
science. We can't understand. Bullshit.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I think I had a quick look before, and it appears that it's legit.
It could be a magnetic lodestone below with the polarization that
No, but I've seen a ball.
Energy to pull a ton uphill or 2 tons uphill.
There was a ball in that video rolling up.
There was, yeah. I mean, there's more in the video. I mean, I'm not going to just say that is the limit of the video. That was just one part of the video.
I'd like to test those hills with a few gallons of running water. Let's see where the water runs, buddies. Okay, water flows downhill.
Yeah,
that did say that there was a river that was flowing uphill.
If the cars go against the flow of the water, I'll believe it's magnetic. So show me some water on one of these goddamn hills. No one got water?
I got some water.
Let's have a field trip out there one day, and go and test it for ourselves.
Bring water.
We could troll the Globers forever with that. Explain that.
Obviously, relative density that makes the things roll uphill.
Pour water on the damn hill, and if the car in neutral goes against the flow of the water, I will believe it's a magnetic hill. Without that visual proof, I call it an optical illusion. People are happy not to put water down and see where the flow really is.
What do you guys, have you seen Sam and Dan's latest video against Eric Dubé?
No, there's still other stuff on the internet to watch. I haven't seen it.
Should we have a quick look?
Yeah, for a laugh. Humor is always welcome in blessed even. It's good for the soul, a good laugh. Who can't use one?
Right, let's share my screen. Simon Dan, here we go. Right, okay, so sharing the screen. Let's call it what it is. The Prince of Flat Earth fails again. This is by obviously Simon Dan, and he's basically talking about Eric Dubé. Welcome to part 2 of debunking Eric Dubé's sci-fi scam man Dan video. Right, okay. So I'm not going to bore you to death with his video for too much, so I'm going to skip through to some parts that are quite interesting. So let's just start from about here and listen to a 30-second clip here. Here we go.
Measuring the angular size of the sun throughout the day in Thailand, which is not too far from Australia.
So let's just go back to this part here. So basically, he's trying to debunk Eric Dubé about the sun sizes, etc. And what Simon Dan said is that if this is Australia and this is the sun setting here, then it should be 4 times smaller optically, right? Bearing in mind that there should be no change on a globe Earth, right? Bear that in mind. So what he's going to do now is he's going to bring up another flat earther who did some sun testing. Here we go.
The size of the sun should be at least 4 times smaller at sunset than during midday. Here's Phuket Word, a flat earther by the way, measuring the angular size of the sun throughout the day in Thailand, which is not too far from Australia.
So here we go. So Simon Dan actually presents evidence that the sun changes its angular size by presenting another flat earther to try and debunk Eric Dubé because it isn't quote unquote 4 times as big, negating the fact completely that the sun actually changed size by about 1/4, which just shouldn't happen on the globe.
You think that's about 1/4 of the size? Are you comparing 12 p.m. to 6 p.m.? Right?
Yeah, 12 till 6, I'd say about 1/4, something like that, maybe 1/3.
Yeah, it is quite a bit bigger, yeah.
You know, but listen to how he explains this, the 6 p.m. Listen to what he says about the 6 p.m. one.
Right, so your midday one was slightly too big, your 4 p.m. one slightly too small, which pretty much means no change at all across the whole day.
So he's averaging it out. He's saying, he said, so let's listen to what he basically just trying to average it out. He's completely ignored the fact that there's gaping changes in the size and just says that he's going to average it out. Listen again.
Midday one was slightly too big, your 4 p.m. one slightly too small, which pretty much means no change at all across the whole day.
What the fuck?
Come on, man. He's not that dumb.
Oh, these videos are just getting ridiculous on their side. I mean, seriously. No change when he's shown a fucking change. Oh.
Yeah, basically no change, even though there was a massive change.
If we apply that to everything, there wouldn't be a change in anything. We just average everything out. All observation. Oh, there's no change because you take the average. There's no change between a baby and an adult because the average is the same size.
Yeah, there's no... Listen, he didn't even provide any evidence of his own. He actually went to another flat earther to get this evidence. And, yeah, you heard what he said. Right, okay, let's do a bit more. Have we got a bit of feedback there? Is that you, Crow?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, that's better. Right, okay, so let's listen from about here. Here we go, next point.
The sun is simply laughable. I often accuse flat earthers of two-dimensional thinking. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to accuse him of one-dimensional thinking. If I was to shine a torch directly over a given surface, almost all of that light would be concentrated in a single spot. Now, if I was to shine that torch at a shallower angle, the same amount of light would be spread over a larger surface area. That means...
So what does he say? That the sun's a torch now? Does he think that we think the sun's a torch?
Over a given surface. Almost
So now he thinks that, now he's putting a torch into people's heads that this is the flat earth model, that the sun is now a torch.
It's more of that bullshit straw manning like Professor Dave does.
You know, we're talking about light extinction, which means the light would emanate from all points on this. All points. It would go up, down, left, right, every way. It wouldn't shine down like a freaking spotlight. And it would just be light extinction, which is the reason that you don't get to see the light over here in the darker areas. That's the only Does this guy even know what we think or how we're trying to explain things? Or even whether it's a solid... It might not even be a... For all we know, I mean, we're talking about light extinction, but it might not even be a solid thing that we can actually go and test. It could be something else that's up there. But at least if you're going to try and mock us in some way, at least don't put us with a torch. A torch? And a spotlight? No, mate, no. It's you know, if we go into your model and we've got a sun here, right, it would give light everywhere and it would just be light extinction. Wow. What do you think, Paige?
That is just unbelievable. He would have to be the worst one on their side for just making outrageous statements and building the most massive straw men. You know, I mean, to say there was no change and then to say that our sun is this little flashlight, I mean, holy shit.
Eric Dubé's going to have a field day with this, I'm telling you. Right, 8:25, here we go.
But he doesn't do any experiments himself. I don't think I've ever seen a Simon Dan video where he's actually figured something out himself. You know what I mean? He only takes information that other people have worked hard to do and then just spews his shit all over the top of it. You know, he's got no original content.
Well, that's true. Right, here we go.
Antarctica is by far the coldest place on Earth, with an average annual temperature of approximately negative 57 degrees Fahrenheit and a record low of 135.8.
So what we're listening to here is Eric explaining that minus 138 basically is the record low for Antarctica, and how it is basically minus 50, and then he's going to talk about obviously what temperature it is, you know, basically at the North Pole, and how much warmer it is up there, right? So we're going to listen to that, and then we're going to listen to what Simon Dan has to say about that.
The average annual temperature at the North Pole, however, is a comparatively warm 4 degrees. Throughout the year, temperatures in the Antarctic vary less than half the amount at comparable Arctic latitudes. The northern Arctic region enjoys moderately warm summers and manageable winters, whereas the southern Antarctic region never even warms enough to melt the perpetual snow and ice.
And there is a reason for this. Firstly, the Antarctic sits on a huge slab of ice, which itself sits on a huge amount of land. The Arctic is an ice sheet on top of water. The huge amount of land around the Arctic traps a lot of heat in the area, and because the ice sits on water which doesn't fall below minus 2 degrees C, then the average temperature of the regions can stay relatively high. Couple this with the fact that warm weather can actually spill into the Arctic from the land areas around it, and you can see why it's not as cold as Antarctica.
I can actually just see a lot of word salad there. That's what I can see.
What an absolute dumbass. How did he get that way in the first place?
Yeah, I was looking at that before.
I mean, I could see his point if it was just a little bit of difference, like if you had maybe 5 degrees or something colder in the Antarctic because it's on, you know, all that ice and stuff, and the north is on water. But we're talking massive, massive differences.
Minus 128. I don't think anybody can comprehend that temperature. We all know what 4 degrees is. 4 degrees is, you know, you can sometimes walk, if the sun's out, you could still walk around with your t-shirt on. But minus 128 is beyond human ability to comprehend that temperature. It's that cold.
Yeah,
It
you'd just
really
about
is.
be frozen solid going outside in that.
Yeah,
It'd be
immediately.
like that movie where they all, when they go outside, they just get frozen solid at Independence Day or whatever it was.
Yeah, you'd you'd be able to walk for 30 seconds or so before you froze to death. You know, that would be that sort of temperature. So the guy has no comprehension about what. Just saying that there's land that's maybe 500 or 700 miles away from the geographic North Pole. That's the reason that it's keeping the North warm. What?
That doesn't make
It
any
threw a
sense.
blankie over the North Pole. It said, "Here you go. You can share my blankie. This will keep you warm."
Let's listen again to his explanation. It's a 30-second clip. Here we go.
Firstly, the Antarctic sits on a huge slab of ice, which itself sits on a huge amount of land.
Well, right, okay. So, and you know, that was 5 seconds of his explanation gone. And what? Right, okay.
The Arctic is an ice sheet on top of water. The huge amount of land around the Arctic traps a lot of heat in the area, and because the ice sits on water which doesn't fall below -2 degrees C, then the average temperature of the regions can stay relatively high. Couple this with the fact that warm weather can actually spill into the Arctic from the land areas around it, and you can see why it's not as cold as Antarctica.
So the land in the north stays warm. The land in the south is frozen. Yeah. That makes no sense at all.
I told you it was a bad video.
Like, what?
Anyone else got any input on that part?
Yeah,
well,
I get
what
his,
is he,
his
you know... Oh, go ahead, Crow.
No, go ahead.
I was just this idea that the land traps so much heat that it completely changes the atmosphere at the North Pole compared to the South Pole, and all the thermals in the area is just ridiculous. I've never even heard that theory before.
He's just flapping his gums. He's got a video to uphold, and he's got to try and go against Eric Dubé here, so he's just going to spout any old bollocks, isn't he? Crow?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I was saying the only point that I understood is because there's more land around the North Pole, so that land receives heat from the sun. If maybe that's what he's saying, because that's my understanding of it. It receives more heat comparing to the South Pole, where there's no land around the South Pole.
Anytime the water temperature is higher than the air temperature, it gives off heat to the air. So even in the Antarctic, any heat it's getting is from the water.
Yeah, but the water is transparent, so the radiation of the sun goes into the water, dissipate into lower layers, and the currents and stuff.
Well, we have a problem with the theory.
If it's land trapping heat, then there's more land at the south.
That's not the only reason. The other reason is that the Earth is closer when it's winter for the South Pole.
Well, we have two phenomena here. We have Arctic clippers.
The sun is closer, so it's colder.
Extremely cold air comes down from North America in the Arctic and freezes the continental USA, eastern seaboard, all the way down to Florida sometimes. Frozen air. We have another phenomena that there can be like 8 feet of snow in Alberta, Calgary, and Edmonton, and this clipper, or a Chinook wind comes. It can be -40 one day, and the next day, by the afternoon, all the snow is melted. A train of hot air comes from the north, along the mountains. So, it's not the sun doing that. Heat rises anyway. So.
Okay, let's play
even
this.
If the sun is warming us,
How do you verify? Hang on. How do you verify that it's not the sun doing that?
There are a few things, like, when I was down south, you could be standing beside some glass doors inside a building. Well, even without sun, you're in the shade part, and the glass is in the shade, but you feel heat radiating inside the building. That's heat radiation to second.
That it's not the sun creating the air pressure with its heat.
Sorry about that. I had to get the door real quick. I missed what was said.
I just simply said, how do you verify that it's not the sun's heat changing the air pressure in the air?
Well, there are a few things, like the sun grows flowers and green leaves and stuff. Fire doesn't. If the sun was truly the heat source, wouldn't it burn everything? See, heat is a radiant energy. Heat rises too. So, I don't know, if you follow the rules of physics, well, it says the heat is generated below and rises. I don't know how, but it's the laws of physics. Just like you can't have gas pressure without a container.
Okay. Well,
It's the
hang
same
on.
basic idea.
I'm standing in the shade right now, but as soon as I go out into the sunlight, here, I'm gonna show you right now. I got shade that I'm standing in, and then as soon as I go into the sunlight, it's straight hot. I can feel the heat coming from above, not being created at my feet.
Here's a rule in physics about heat and cold. Evaporation causes cooling. If you're in the shade, there's, well, I don't know, more or less evaporation. If wind
Hang on,
blows
you just
across
said
your skin,
evaporation.
causes
Repeat what you just
cooling.
said.
Evaporation
causes
cooling.
Okay.
It's a law in physics, an absolute law. You see, heat and cold is like air pressure and a vacuum. They're just opposites. Cold is the lack of heat. Heat is, well, not enough cold. Heat moves to cold. We know that. It's another one of those rules. You know, we got all these rules, but we've been taught to believe that somehow our magical world disembodies us from respecting them, except in our lab with our white schmucks on and stuff. Well, the same rules that apply here at the ground level apply all around us. Don't matter how high up, how far out you go. So if evaporation causes cooling, see, I get in trouble when I say that, well, I call it stupid, cooling moon rays. If you can eliminate 5 miles of atmosphere from your experiment, then I'll be happy to consider that maybe the moon rays are cooling and even putrefying, and consider putting more than a mask on my lady's head and put a full bag so she doesn't rot and putrefy when we're out in the moonlight. Make sure she walks in the shade, because moonlight's putrefying apparently too. All bullshit. But again, there's absolutely, well, it's not an experiment anyway.
Yes, it is. They've done tests
don't care
putting
who
stuff
did
out
what.
in sunlight and
What's
moonlight.
the observation? It's a claim that you're seeing a thermal difference. You can't see heat. You can't see it.
If you
So
have
it's a
thermal
claim that's
imaging
being
No.
tested with devices. And again, you're in an environment where in an air that has water, evaporation, and rules that apply. We have 5 miles at least of atmosphere above our heads, which contains water and layers and all kinds of things. So to say that somehow
I'll try and
magically
remember
all
who
this
did the
light is going to
test.
come through, and that, you know, other factors aren't, say, evaporation for the biggest one, causing these temperature changes, I say
But
fully, it's not science.
God, are you just going to monologue for 5 hours?
Show
There was
it
a
to me as an
test where a guy put. Oh, fuck me. A guy did an experiment. Oh, fuck me.
Go ahead, Paige.
He did the experiment inside glass, I think it was. Like got rid of all the atmospheric variables and showed how things rot in the moonlight faster and preserve in the sunlight. That's why we have things like sultanas. Sunlight is preserving, moonlight is putrefying. It just is.
I still call that not science. Thank you. You know, in observing temperature, how did they first conclude with visuals? Because you have to observe a phenomena. What phenomena did they observe in noticing cooling moon rays? How did they notice that?
Well, you can notice that by going out on a full moon night. Go out when the full moon's out and there are no clouds in the sky and stand in the moonlight. It is freezing. Then you move into the shade and it's not so
call
cold.
that our weather, and it has a lot to do with relative humidity, wind speeds, and other stuff?
Yeah, sure.
That we call,
No, it's exactly the same as if you stood in the sun and then moved into the shade. You feel the warmth from the sun, and when you move into the shade, you don't feel it anymore. The exact same thing happens with the moon, but the other way around. You get really cold standing in full moonlight.
You get really cold standing bare arse in the shower in cold water.
Well,
And why are you bringing up a false equivalent?
A straw man.
Yeah, that was just really childish.
Not at all. To call this science is childish. What's your dependent-independent variable, and what is truly your observed phenomena? At least an apple falling from a tree is an observable phenomenon.
I never said anything about science or scientific.
Cooling
I
your
never
skin is
said.
not science.
I said it was an observation. I didn't say it was science, did I?
Okay, well listen,
I didn't say I
hold
had
on.
scientific proof. I said I had an observation.
We're not looking for more new age and speculation, or I certainly am not.
Right, listen, before we get into that, I just want to round up this video part, and then we'll carry on. Is that all right? I just want to finish it with the Simon Dan.
Word.
Right, okay, here we go. So just finish with this. It's the last part, trust me. Let's just listen to what he's got to say.
Just tribes alone are seen upon the desolate beaches.
It's lichen, not leeching. Bloody hell. Is the South Georgia Islands subject to the jet stream like we have here in the UK? No, it's not.
So let me just go back to what actually was said by Eric Dubé, and that was his defence. So that was Simon Dan's defence. Let's listen to what the claim was by Eric Dubé. Here we go.
Doomed by nature to perpetual frigidness, never to feel the warmth of the sun's rays, whose horrible and savage aspect I have not words to describe. Even marine life is sparse in certain tracts of vast extent, and the seabird is seldom observed flying over such lonely wastes. The contrasts between the limits of organic life in Arctic and Antarctic zones is very remarkable and significant. Vegetables and land animals are found at nearly 80 degrees in the north, while from the parallel of 58 degrees in the south, the lichen and such-like plants only clothe the rocks, and seabirds and the cetaceous tribes alone are seen upon the desolate beaches.
It's lichen, not leeching. Bloody hell. Is the South Georgia Islands subject to the jet stream like we have here in the UK? No, it's not.
So basically his entire rebuttal about the different latitudes, different places and different wildlife and plants and all that kind of stuff, he uses the jet streams as a response.
So weak.
Yeah, because the jet streams really change so much. Crow, if you're not speaking, bud, can you put yourself on mute? Yeah, cheers. So, guys, that was Simon Dan. That's about the level of his content, but I don't know why he gets so many people watching his shit, because, to be honest, it's just garbage.
Is it just me, or does he have like crazy eyes? Like
dead eyes.
Looks crazy.
He's got dead eyes.
Yeah, I find he's got dead eyes, like no spark in there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like, yeah, no one's home, right?
Yeah, like his emotions are just so far down inside him that nothing is showing on the, outside. Nothing's coming through.
Well, anyway, I just think that his quote-unquote debunking of Eric Dubé was nothing of the sort. In fact, it was weak as piss.
Every debunking he's ever done is as lame as, a horse fed too much corn. Let's just put it down.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear one of these times, one of these guys say, yeah, you know what? It does make sense. The sun, the Arctic and Antarctic differences on a flat Earth. It does actually make more sense.
Yeah, because it does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense that if the sun is not, directly over it like it is in other parts of the world, that, the sunlight's trying to stretch to reach it.
I mean, on the flat Earth, wouldn't the summer for the northern hemisphere be way much hotter?
No.
Not necessarily.
Okay,
I guess it depends on the altitude of the sun and the speed and all that. There's a lot of variables involved, but I don't think
I don't think it just goes around and around in a
Well,
circle.
the
I think
way
it goes up and down
I
as
try
well.
to make logic of it is measure the circumference.
On a flat plane.
The circumference of the Tropic of Cancer and the circumference of Capricorn. If you compare the distance, then this is the radiation sprayed over these area in the same amount of time.
But what if the sun moves up and down as well as around and around?
We don't know what the sun does. We just know it goes around.
Yeah, so in that sense, you cannot say it makes sense more on the flat Earth.
Yeah, we don't even know what the sun is.
It makes sense on both models, but we don't live on a model.
Doesn't it make sense to you, Crow, that there would be a bigger difference between the south and the north on a flat Earth as opposed to a globe that's spinning around and getting pretty close to equal sunlight in the north and the south throughout the year? Whereas on the flat Earth, you'd obviously have less sun the further south you went.
On the globe, I've been just doing some, you can call it observation. I wouldn't call it math. When the sun is 3 degrees before reaching Capricorn, and then it reaches Capricorn and leave it back away the same 3 degrees. This period of time for the southern hemisphere is 60 days. For the northern hemisphere is 64 days. And that would be a ratio of 1.0666, which is the same ratio that the Earth would receive because its closeness to the sun.
Oh boy. So you have the facts and figures for this, I suppose, not just the words, eh?
Yeah, you can check it yourself. Try to find.
You're making the claim.
Okay, so you're going to believe me? I've just said it.
That's right. I could believe you, but I believe I'll win the lottery tonight.
Yeah, my gosh.
Yeah, so if you have doubts, you can
Crow,
check it
saying,
yourself.
do you have
or
any
you can
more
accept it.
evidence than just you saying so? So take that as a no. You don't have more evidence. Than
I think he's talking and we can't hear him.
Is he?
I think so. He may have self-muted himself.
Oh yeah, I can see his green light.
What?
Yeah, no, Crow, you're not coming through.
Has
Oh
he-
no, there you are.
Has he muted himself? You might have.
I don't know.
He has a hardware issue with his microphone.
Well, you guys have heard of the Black Swan, yeah?
No.
Black Swan.
Pretty bad seeing a flat water 10 miles and 15 miles back of these platforms.
Hey, Ranty, have you heard of Bob Nodell?
Have I heard of him? Yeah, I've heard of him. Yep.
Yeah. What'd he do? Who's this Bob Nodell guy?
Somebody who keeps blocking and timing people out on Ranty's chat.
Okay. And?
No, I'm just wondering if you.
Nobody's being blocked. Nobody's being blocked. But timed out, sure.
Yeah.
We want to tidy the chat up. So we're trying to get it so that people can come in and engage and have a civil conversation and meet up with people that they've spoken to yesterday and just talk to them without being jumped on by half a dozen trolls giving them shit.
Yeah, it's to try to stem some of the abuse and the abusive chat that's going on, so it can be more pleasant
Yeah,
for everyone.
exactly.
I got no problem with people being timed out if they got potty mouths and they're just insulting people.
Yeah,
fair enough.
It's just, what do they call it there? Not blue boxing. What do they call gaslighting?
Gaslighting.
It shouldn't be allowed.
Well, anyway, let's get back to this. To this now. My friend, Dr. John D, has been out, obviously, doing more observations, and he posted a video yesterday, I believe, and he sent me the link to that. So I'm going to share my screen for you guys to have a look in case you haven't already seen it. I will put the link in the description in a minute for everyone to look at this. Now, his observer height, now I know that it coincidentally says the shot taken at 1:37, but it's 1 mile and 73, so 1.73 miles away from his observer height is where the horizon should be, right? So I think he's at maybe a foot or a foot and a quarter or something like that. Anyway, it works out 1.73 miles is where the horizon should be. And what do you know? We've got wind turbine number 1, which is 8 miles away, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and the horizon is beyond every one of these. Now, the last turbine is 11.2 miles away. Bearing in mind that the horizon should be in front of these turbines. Crow, anything to add?
You don't
Yeah, I don't know him. I know you, and I know when you took your turbine image from the Great Orm, you were the same height as the hubs, and the horizon was way below them.
Okay, what's that got to do with this?
The horizon drop?
Basically, he's saying he doesn't trust the guy's image.
No, what's this? This is in a video. He's got a video with this that goes along with it.
Oh, okay.
It's not just an image.
It's not moving.
Yeah, I know it's not moving. I've just stopped it here
okay.
to present this.
Oh. Yeah, okay. So.
So why is the horizon behind the turbines?
Yeah, because probably he's very low at the thicker, or the atmospheric playing with it. What's his elevation again?
Yeah, the good thing about this is though that I've got you on. Can you mute yourself when you're not talking, Crow? Because we're getting feedback. Yeah. So the good thing about this is that because these are incremental distances away, right? We're not seeing the effect happening on these as what's happening with the horizon. Now the horizon should be in front of these turbines, but the horizon is placed behind them. But if that would be the case, because these are incremental spaces on these wind turbines, then that effect should happen to them as well as the horizon, right? It's not just one object we're looking at. With the Black Swan, the original Black Swan, it's just one object. With this...
If the horizon was in front of that, then it would be a globe proof. There will be,
but that looks...
it doesn't conform to the ball.
That looks exactly like what you would draw in art class in school if your teacher said to you, draw me some power lines or something going off into the distance. So you draw your little flat plane and your little power lines going away, smaller, and that's exactly what it would look like.
So I'm going to play the video now. So this is part in part of the video. You can see that he's on the beach. You can actually see that he's in parts of the water right now with his tripod set down to what, maybe a foot or so. I mean, it doesn't get much lower than that.
What dedication!
Yeah, I mean, I definitely you know, I've done it myself, so I know.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is part of his video.
Was that low tide, Randy, you said?
I would have thought so. It looks to me like it's low tide, and what's more, there's no swell, because you can see that on the water. There's no ripples on the water, and there's no wind. You know, there's no real wind. You can see how flat that water's laying. It wouldn't surprise me if it was dead. If it was actually a dead tide. You know, sort of like dead low tide. So there's no.
Those are 10 miles away?
Yep.
That doesn't look 10 miles.
10 miles away, bud.
Wow.
The P1000 is an amazing camera. I mean, it's surprising. You only have to, you know, zoom in a bit and it magnifies it massively. I mean, they've got like 90 zoom on it or something, 83 zoom. It's just incredible.
Yeah, total globe destroyer, that camera. Amazing.
But yeah, I mean, not only in this, we've got an image that he's got of France, which is, I think, I'm gonna have to get Skype up to tell
What?
you. Yeah, he sees.
From England?
Yeah, but it's worse than, it's not just looking across the channel, you know, where you're looking from, say, Calais to Dover. You know, I think I need to get the distances. I don't want to make a distance up without being 100%. So, but I've got it on my Skype, so I'll just pause the video there. Anyway, you can definitely see that the horizon is beyond, and he's obviously struggling to focus, because who would want to kneel down and get behind their camera? Let's be honest. When you're kneeling into all this shit, right? And I can understand probably why he didn't kneel down. So he's put it on the tripod. I know what he's done. He's stuck it on the tripod and he's trying to bend down and focus rather than sit down on the floor like I would have done. But you'd get incredibly wet. Yeah, so it's a bit wobbly. But the images are in there, and there's other kinds of stuff that he picks out. There's a boat that he picks out. He's able to identify the boat in it. Here we go. This is a part of that.
I actually can't believe how far away the actual horizon looks in that. That's got to be 30, 40 miles plus.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, the horizon's behind that boat again.
I don't believe it. It's just back there. That's more than 20 miles. I know 20-mile horizons.
Yeah.
That's double that easy.
And here's another one. There's nothing hidden on this. Apparently there should be 8 meters or so hidden of this at the distance. When he was filming it, obviously we're seeing all of the boat. Looks a little bit squished, I would say, a little bit compressed. I mean, especially you can see the compression part, because if you look at the arc that creates over here in comparison to here, so it's definitely being squished. Anyway,
yeah, for sure.
So we've got all this. So it's an excellent video. So I'm going to link it, and I'll find out. I'll get an image up that he sent me, and I'll send it to. Well, I'll display it for everyone to have a look at. It's regarding the French connection. So I've not actually done the distances myself and checked it. So I've not verified that yet. But let me get Skype up anyway. Let's bring that over here. France. So he's saying that France wasn't the target for some reason. Let's copy that anyway. I'll put this for the audience. So this is so that the audience can follow along. They can go and watch the video if they so want. Give it a like, give it a watch of it. It's quite a long video, so it's in the chat right now for everybody. Let's see if I can get the image up that he sent me. Let's bring that over here. So if I share my screen with you guys. There we go, we've got this France. Can you see the land over here?
It's not. Oh, yeah, now it's up. Where is it? Oh, yes, yep.
Yeah, you can definitely make out land over there. But look at
absolutely.
Look at the horizon in this image. I mean, look how far. I mean, I don't know if he's standing up when he took this particular image or not. But the horizon is absolutely way, way, way beyond those turbines in this. It's very defined. You can definitely see it. I'd need to find out exactly what his height was on this. It looks slightly different.
The horizon is where the black ends on that first.
Yeah, up
pole.
here. Yes, up there.
Yeah, up at the. Yeah, on the one on the left. It's like. Yeah, it's way behind them.
And there's France over here. I'm not sure what part of France that is. Like I say, I've not triangulated it yet, but it's there
That's
anyway.
Amazing.
Yep. Let me get the distances involved. Let's have a look at what he sent to me. So he said that France is 79 miles away.
Wow.
79 miles from what, maybe 3.5 feet apparently with this one, so it was slightly higher. So 3.5 feet, you saw France 79 miles away. That's pretty cool.
So what's the drop on that? What should be the hidden?
Well, we need to know what the target is as well, to be honest, first. I mean, like I say, I've not had time to verify. I've not had time to look at that yet. But, yeah. If everyone could go over and give Dr. John D a subscribe and a thumbs up on the video. It's, as I say, it's quite a long video, so it'll keep you occupied for about 40 minutes or so. I think Karen B narrates it as well. So, yeah. There's a lot of people that, she does a lot of work with Dr. John D. She always narrates his videos for him.
The best voice on Flat Earth, that one.
Sorry?
She's got the best voice on Flat Earth.
But like, we don't spend 5 hours at Ranty's every day.
Say that again, I didn't hear what you said then.
I said, yeah, like we don't spend 5 hours at Ranty's every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can definitely afford to take a few minutes out of your life to go and watch this video. He's called it The Black Swan, an observation and its implications for a globe model. Actually, it's longer than I thought. Actually, it's an hour and 15 minutes, so that will definitely keep you occupied. Hour and 15 minutes. Well, it must have took him a long time to actually sort of like write everything down that he wanted her to say, and all the work he's put into it. He's put an awful lot of work in with imagery and stuff like this. So it's absolutely somebody that's gone above and beyond for putting the amount of content out in that particular video.
Yeah, that's a lot of work too, to script it and then come up with all the clips to fill the time.
Yeah, I mean,
that is a ton of work.
I'm flicking through it now and I'm seeing at least 50 different annotations through it. So there's at least 50. So just to produce one can take you 20 minutes or half an hour. So there's been an awful lot of work that's been put into this, and Dr. John D is seriously undersubscribed. 2,180 subscribers. He needs a lot more than that, so hopefully with the link that I've just provided, you guys can find your way there and subscribe to him. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, he does. He puts out a lot of good work. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he puts a lot of hard work in. He does the hours, he does the graft. It's good stuff. Right, what time is it? How long have we been going? We've been going a couple of hours. I'm getting a bit tired tonight, guys, to be honest. And has everybody else got anything they want to bring up before I round up, or is there anybody that wants to discuss something so we can carry on?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, if you would have waited another 2 hours till I was off work, but you always seem to want to have a show while I'm working.
Damn. I'd have to stay up later one time, Rob.
I know. That's what happens when I'm on the west coast of Canada here. It's only 4 p.m., so...
Well, maybe I should do a daytime show. Maybe I should do a daytime show as well. How's that?
We'll figure it out. Thanks, Laurenti. It was a great show.
Yeah, no
I got a
worries.
presentation prepared for next show, Ranty, on ballistic Coriolis.
Oh.
You know those charts that they're always passing around that say the firing tables for howitzers and such?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I got a debunk of that as a globe proof.
Oh, looking forward to that. How's your fish tank stuff going as well? Are you doing any more with that, or have you wrapped that up for now?
You know what? It's still sitting there with the sugar water in it from last time. I haven't touched it. Gathering a few more flies, by the way. I probably should clean it out.
It's a good fly trap, then.
It is a good fly trap. They do like that, yeah. But I might do, if I can think of another reason to do something. I've kind of moved on to looking at some different stuff, dealing with perspective and continuing to look into Coriolis too.
Sorry, Brandon. It's not a fly trap. It's a fly creator.
A fly what? Creator?
Creator. You are creating more and more flies with your sugar. Yes.
You think they're spawning in it? Yeah, right.
Yeah, you catch more flies with sugar.
But yeah, if anybody can think of a good reason to do another sugar experiment, I still got 20 pounds of sugar sitting around.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I could come up with something for you to do.
Yeah, if you think of something, I don't mind doing some more stuff.
All right, now you're going to put something on me. I'm definitely going to be thinking about that now that you've put that out there.
Hey, a little moonshine.
Somewhat.
Moonshine. Just ferment the stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can find better use for it, though. Do you know, I haven't had a drink in ages. You know, I mean, I've not drank a lot in, I'd say, the last 5...
I like hearing that, honestly.
The last 5 months or so? About the last 5 months since I started with the problems with the hernia. As soon as I really started with those problems, I just, stopped. I think I've had about probably...
Yeah, alcohol's poison.
It is. I gave up drinking more than a year ago, and maybe I'll occasionally have a beer, but I feel so much better.
That's why they let us drink. Like, you think about it, marijuana, they don't want to make marijuana legal, but they'll let people drink and get, spastic drunk and have fights and argue and, causes people to act just insane. But that's all legal, and you can, buy alcohol at a shop, no problem.
Well, the thing is, too, there's a misconception that it's a drug, and it's not. It's a solvent, and it falls in the category of solvent abuse.
Yes, solvent.
People don't want to recognize that, but it is just an industrial solvent, and you should not drink it. You wouldn't drink formaldehyde. Name 1,000 things you wouldn't drink.
Exactly.
That should be one of them.
A nice cold beer is good every once in a while, I got to tell you. On a nice
I don't disagree with that, but
it might taste nice to you, but it's definitely not good for you.
Yeah.
I've just seen someone in the chat just did a little wave called Skywatcher Footage, so I just checked his channel out. It looks like he's got a few interesting things up there, I have to say. Got a few interesting videos. Might be worth having a look over there, finding his channel. Just type in Skywatcher Footage. Yeah. Busy bee, 2,000 subscribers, putting stuff out. Seems to be in on these hoaxes and stuff. And yeah, good little channel there. I might watch some of your stuff in a bit, bud.
Speaking of hoaxes, there's something I noticed that I'd like to share, and I think I've shared it before, but there's always people who haven't heard it. But the images that are taken from the ISS cupola. Now, there's one in particular. It's supposed to be Andres Kuiper, who is somewhere over Italy, the boot. Now, their photo is basically from an altitude of about 3,200 miles up, when the claim of the ISS and the cupola being at 300 miles up. If the photo was taken from 300 miles up, you would not have the view that you have of the rest of Europe and other stuff and a little bit curving. You'd see a heel. If you go to Google Earth and bring up the Andres Kuiper's image with Italy in the background, go to Google Earth and then zoom out over Italy till you match the view that he's supposed to have in that photo. You'll see that from Google Earth is telling you it's 3,000 plus miles up. If you scroll down to 300 miles, you're going to see boot leather. It's not the same. It's so incredibly obvious in virtually
Sometimes I wonder
every
if they do that
photo.
on purpose. Like
No, they
they
never
make
really thought people would go this far and dissect them.
go and look.
Yeah.
Do you think, or do you think they really are like gaslighting us, laughing
They
at us,
think
saying, you know,
people
look,
are
we can put
so
out
stupid.
images like this. Yeah, and they're so stupid they believe us.
Absolutely. People are so stupid a cartoon can convince them that something is real.
Well, it's like a street magician. They can do it right in front of your face.
Yeah.
And you don't even notice it because you're not looking for it.
And another thing is, in the Coriolis field, there are two things that I always recommend people look at. One is a gun enthusiast named Edward Sarkassian. Now, he shoots a .5 caliber straight up in one of his videos, and the bullet comes straight back down at 500 miles an hour. Makes a little helicopter sound. But the point being, if the Earth was spinning on an axis, it would move him and his gun miles away from where the bullet was going to land. Now, that's shooting up. There's a couple, there are two people who go out shooting together. They do 4,000 meter plus shots, snipers with all different calibers and kinds of sniper rifles. This is over 2 miles. They do a few shots at over 5,000 meters. But in their calculations, it really is one target to the left. You miss 3 o'clock, one target over. You miss at 9 o'clock, one target over. Well, there's no Coriolis calculated. They have a windsock at the target. They know the air pressures and the relative humidity. They don't have many other data to go by. He points and shoots off a first round, and then he readjusts with each shot till he gets the target. But there's no Coriolis calculation on a 2-mile shot, and the guy who shoots straight up in the air has to run for cover, or he could get killed by the bullet coming right back down on his head. So, if there was axial rotation to the Earth, neither of those things would be possible. Roger, we're not enjoy. Air pressures, relative humidity.
Here comes George.
Sorry, Jimbo, but that claim about that. Sorry, Jimbo, that video about shooting a bullet straight up, I've seen that one, and the bullet only lands about where it's supposed to.
How far does it move, George?
Yeah, I'm saying I've seen that video where they shoot the bullet up with a 50 caliber, and Jimbo's wrong about that. It should not land miles away. It about lands where it should. Jimbo's forgetting that any bullet leaving the muzzle of a gun also has the tangential velocity as a gun as it's rotating about. So it's just a differential, that's all. It's never supposed to drift miles. The most it's going to drift is a few hundred feet due to Coriolis.
There's you begging the question. The bullet has the
question.
Oh, thanks for talking over me.
Jimbo said that the bullet should be landing miles away due to Coriolis, or if the Earth is spinning, that's wrong because the bullet leaves the muzzle with the tangential velocity of the surface of the Earth at the latitude at which it's at. So the only difference that you have is the difference in the lateral velocity when it reaches the peak of its flight versus that when it left the muzzle. And when you do that calculation, the bullet should only land a few hundred feet away.
Okay, so the audience knows that is a begging the question fallacy. He's already assuming the Earth is rotating and the bullet and the gun have a velocity from Earth turn. He's already begging the question.
No, it isn't. Saying that the bullet, you're making the assumption that if the Earth is turning, that the bullet should land miles away, and I'm saying that's incorrect. If you look at the tangential velocities, it should only land a few hundred feet away, and it does.
George, How did you prove that it was the Earth turning?
I didn't prove it was the Earth turning. Neither did he disprove that it wasn't turning. He made the conclusion that the Earth isn't turning because the bullet didn't land miles away. I'm just saying that's incorrect.
The Earth is not moving. Prove that the Earth is moving, and then I will accept that the bullet can land way off in the distance somewhere.
It's not going to land way off in the distance. That's the whole point. It doesn't matter if the Earth is turning or not. It's not going to land miles away. It's only going to land a few hundred feet away, even if the Earth is spinning. Coming to the wrong conclusions.
Well, Airy's failure shows it doesn't move.
No, the bullet going up and coming down and landing a few hundred feet away does not demonstrate that the Earth is not rotating.
Paige said Airy's failure.
Airy's failure does, though.
We're an expert on Airy's failure, too.
We're not talking
And
about
if-
Airy's failure. We're talking about the
We're
bullet
talking about
being
Earth
shot
turn.
upward, having
We're talking about
supposedly.
Earth turn.
Talking about Earth.
Let's
turning,
talk.
George.
Let's talk about Airy's failure, George.
Not today. I'm just addressing this about the Coriolis. I'm just saying that you're not. Jimbo stated something
What's the
incorrectly.
logical
Jimbo
reason?
said that the bullet should land, and so did they state
See,
in the
they
video
can't talk
that the
about
bullet
things
should land
together.
several
They have
miles
to
away
separate
if the Earth
everything.
was spinning. I'm
Talk
just
about
saying
one
that's
subject
wrong.
at a time.
So is that your kryptonite, George? Airy's failure? Is that why you don't want to talk
no,
about
it
that?
has nothing to do with this. It has nothing to do with this. All I'm doing is trying to correct
It
Jimbo's
has nothing
statement.
to do with Earth turn,
Okay.
man.
Now
Earth turn, it doesn't happen,
Now
so
you're
it doesn't have
drifting
anything to
way
do
off
with it.
into Netherland. I'm just addressing one issue at a time. This is what you always
Earth
do.
turn.
Start
That's what we're
introducing
addressing.
other
Earth
issues
turn.
when you haven't.
Okay,
cleared up the
all right.
first
So I'll
one.
tell you what. Let's concede this for the sake of moving it on. Doesn't mean that we're wrong, but we'll concede it for now.
No,
let's
you
talk
are
about
wrong.
let's talk
No,
about
you are
Airy's
wrong.
failure. Let's talk.
Let's clarify
Let's
this
talk
up.
about
You are
Airy's
wrong.
failure.
You said you are not wrong. I'm saying you are wrong.
Let's-
Even if the Earth is supposedly spinning, as you deny, the bullet should not land several miles away.
Well,
Let's
if the
get that
Earth is
clarified.
spinning, George, Airy's would have found it, wouldn't he?
Oh, let's clarify this bullet issue.
Well, no, let's
You
clarify
claim- your
Earth
claim
turn.
is-
It's still
your
on Earth
claim
turn,
is
George.
that if you shoot the bullet
Still
straight
Earth
up,
turn,
it
George.
should land miles away if the Earth is spinning. That's
It's
the claim, correct?
still Earth turn, George. Rodney B says that
No,
apparently
this
you.
is the claim. No,
Apparently you
let's
all.
get it
Listen, let me get this
clarified.
right.
I'm not
claim
going to
is
move
Earth
on until we
turn.
clarify
Earth
this. Until we
turn.
clarify this,
Apparently-
I'm not going to move on
Claim.
to Airy's failure.
Apparently, George, you owe Paige an apology, and you know why.
No, I don't know her apology.
Rodney B in
Yeah,
the
he
chat
called me a
says.
fucking bitch because
Yes,
he
you are,
didn't
because
hear.
you keep interrupting
See, he's just
me.
talking
and you
over
owe
me
me an apology
again.
because you keep bringing
George,
up
you
that
need to get the hell out of
you
here, man.
make
Called
false
me.
statements and
He called me a
slandering me.
fucking bitch because
Okay,
I
goodbye.
was trying to tell Right the Hand to stop
George.
talking and let
Goodbye.
George finish.
Just let him leave.
And because George wasn't listening to what I was saying, he just heard the voice. He assumed I was over talking him when he had Right the Hand and the other guy turned down and couldn't hear what they were saying. So he called me a fucking bitch. When I wasn't over talking him at all, I was saying, oh, it's all right then, just let him monologue, just let him get it done and then we can talk about whatever it is, after he's finished monologuing.
Well, he's gone
He's
now.
the rudest, oh good, he is the rudest, nastiest old man I've ever come across. He has no problem being absolutely horrible to women. Something very wrong with him, very wrong.
I think we scared him away with Airy's failure as well. I think he doesn't want to do.
Yeah, it scares most of them away.
Yeah,
I've never been able to get anyone to talk to me about Airy's failure. I bring it up all the time. Like even on Gem's server last night, I tried to talk to them. They were talking about satellites and stuff, and he showed this picture, and then we moved on and started talking about a different picture, And he said, oh, that picture represents reality, when it was a picture of the whole ball of Earth. He said that represents what we see from here on the ground. And I said, no. I said, you're talking about the picture before, you're not talking about this picture. And because he wouldn't stop, and I kept having to say, you're talking about the wrong picture, Jem said, oh, Paige, stop over-talking him. And I'm like, but he's talking about the wrong thing. I'm not just going to let him keep going on and on when he's, you know, talking about a totally different picture.
I get you. So you tried to assist, but because he just
because he wasn't listening
talks,
to what
doesn't
I
he?
was saying. Yeah, he didn't, because he wasn't listening. He didn't hear me say, right then, please just stop, let him finish. All he heard was my voice, and because he doesn't listen, he assumed I was over-talking him. And I wasn't. I was trying to say, you know, please, I've promised him I will try and help him get his point across, so please give him a chance. And no, he just, oh, you're a fucking bitch. You over-talked me. I said, no, I wasn't. It was like 3 other guys over-talking you that I was trying to get, stop over-talking you. There's something, he's got friggin' dementia or something. Like, something seriously wrong going on with George.
Fuck, George sure didn't last long, did he? I leave for 2 seconds, I come back and George is gone.
And speaking of that Airy's failure, what Crow was saying about the tilt of the starlight, it wouldn't matter what angle the starlight is coming in. As soon as they find the right angle and get it to hit the bottom of the telescope, the fact that they then put water in the telescope is what causes the difference, where you can see whether it's the ground moving or the stars moving by the water if you have to tilt it anymore. And because he didn't have to tilt it, it meant that it wasn't the ground moving.
Yeah, it meant that there was the, whatever it is, the stars were moving.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with the angle. Like, you know, he could have found the angle anyway. Like, you know, whether he uses ball math or flat earth math or whatever for the star aberration, whatever he calls it, once he's got that angle, once he knows what that angle is, then when he fills it with water, that's how you show, you know, because the starlight will hit the side. It's, you know, it's just like the drone. It's absolute proof. If they say Coriolis is happening, that means a drone in the air doesn't have Earth turn affecting it, therefore cannot see sun movement. But we do see it.
Yeah, Airy's failure.
So
it's kryptonite to them, isn't it? Kryptonite.
Well, Airy's failure was the video that 4 years ago I watched. That exact video that you played. That was what, you know, that and the long distance photography video that I watched, and that was it for me. I just went, holy shit, we're not moving. Like, wow.
Watch The Principle. Yeah.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that now.
It has a lot of that stuff in there too.
Yeah, but it's pretty easy to show now with all the technology we've got with drones and aeroplanes and things that, you know, can fly in the sky that they didn't have back then. You know, it's pretty easy to show now which is moving and which isn't.
Well, they've never been able to demonstrate any kind of movement. Ever. No. Even when they say there's Coriolis, there's not apparently. Even when they say it is.
They tell us it's...
You shouldn't,
They tell us it's why we don't see it.
Yeah,
why
exactly.
It's not happening.
It's so...
ludicrous.
I mean, it's well, I don't know. It's just really tough to be a globe earther right now. That's all I've got to say. But the thing is that 90% of people just are completely oblivious to it. You know.
But you literally have to ignore reality, like that. The videos we show of the sun fade out and stuff. You have to ignore reality for a math equation, saying that this light can be bent, you know, in all these funny ways, and you know, you literally have to ignore what you're seeing in favour of a math equation.
Got a couple of new panelists. We've got Rodney B and Silent Zero. How's it going?
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
Pretty good.
Hey, good. How's everybody doing?
Hey, doing good too. So you prompted me to poke George about that, Rodney. It's your fault.
Yeah, I think he owes Paige an apology, but I don't think she'll ever get it.
No, of course not.
No.
He doesn't think he was in the wrong, so he doesn't think he's got
No.
anything to apologise for. So,
George is always in the right, and George knows everything.
yeah.
Yeah, he seemed to be mad at me, and he took it out on Paige, I think.
Yeah, he was frustrated with all the guys over talking him, and for some reason he finds it acceptable to attack the female in the room. You know, that to me is very telling.
Yeah, I think he was
You know,
upset because I was questioning his test that he was trying to explain to us.
Yeah, yep.
You put up with a lot of shit, don't you, Paige? Being a female in this arena.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said the other day, I don't know these people. You know, I have 3 boys. I have a wonderful family. You know, I'm very loved. I'm very happy. I'm quite well off. You know, when they say those kinds of things, I get sad for them, not for me.
Water off of Doug's back.
Yeah, like I've been through some real hard shit in my life. You know, I lost my boy's father when I was very young, when they were very young. I lost a baby. You know, I've had many things happen to me that would, you know, crush most people. So them saying, you know, oh, you're dumb, you're going to die stupid, just doesn't have any effect. It's like, well, I'm happy. I couldn't give a shit if you think I'm stupid. I'm happy.
George talks to a lady like that in the South, he is eating dirt. That's ridiculous for a man to treat a lady like that.
Yeah, in real life, if he was in a room with me with a conversation, I would feel like I had the right to stand up and give him a slap across the face for what he did. Like, you know, it was that bad.
Rakia, that's not a Yankee thing either. That wouldn't fly up here either, man.
In real life, he will not be able to mute right the hand and the other panelists, right?
Exactly, yeah. So he would have had to listen to them. I think that was the problem. He didn't realise that I wasn't actually talking to him. I wasn't saying anything about what he was saying. I was asking, right, the hand to just stop and let him monologue for a bit. You know, give him 5 minutes and then we'll attack him afterwards. But George must have just thought I was talking to him because he heard my voice. You know, he can't talk and listen at the same time. So if he's talking, he will not have a comprehension of anything anyone else has said to him. That's why he gets so frustrated when people overtalk him, because he doesn't have the cognitive ability anymore to keep up with people talking and his own thought and his own speech all at the same time. You know what I mean?
Might be a hearing issue. He's getting up there, you know.
Well, yeah, he's getting older. You know, there's nothing bad about that. You know, there's nothing, well, it's bad, but there's nothing wrong with getting older and you know, not being as mentally capable as you were when you were a young man or woman or whatever. You know, it happens to everybody, but you can't take it out on other people, you know. I don't know. I think I'm just going to give up trying to help these people, you know, especially after going into Jem's server last night and just having like 5 people jump all over me and not let me say a word. And even though they jumped all over me, as soon as I tried to say, hang on, he's bringing up the wrong photo, you know, I get told, oh, stop over talking him. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. See ya. I'm going.
Whose phone is that? Right, guys. Yeah, I'm going to round up tonight. Anybody got any final thoughts before I go?
Not me, Ranty. Just here to listen.
Nope, thank you, sir. I'll be back tomorrow.
Okay, sounds
Yep.
good.
Same
Sounds
here.
good.
Thanks, Ranty.
We'll have some more videos to look over, I should imagine. And I might look into that gravity hill as well. I think that'll be an interesting thing to look into. Right.
Yep. Thanks, Ranty.
No worries, no worries. Right, guys. Okay, so that'll do for tonight. There was quite a hot time to be going live. Actually, I didn't realise there was that many flat earthers out there putting videos out at this time. We think we had Cleary was live. We had Jeranism that was live. There was a lot of people that was live, and I can't remember just everybody. But yeah, it was a packed setting. But still, to get 85 people watching wasn't too bad, I have to say. So thank you everybody that stopped by and was entertained for the past couple of hours. We got through quite a few videos that was put out, and yeah, thank you to all the panelists that joined too, and the couple of super chats that I got, which was really, really appreciated. Thank you very much, guys, for supporting the show. Right, I'll be back tomorrow again with another show, and for now, that'll do, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.